All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're going to talk about a really big shift in how CPA firms are actually achieving profitable growth. And look, this is a strategy that goes way beyond just working harder. It's all about working smarter, and that's through strategic outsourcing. So if you're a partner at a CPA firm, let's be honest for a second. What's the thing that's really keeping you up at night? Now, the easy answer is probably, oh, finding more clients, right? But what we're seeing is that for a lot of really successful firms, that's not even the main problem anymore. The real anxiety, it comes from something much, much deeper.
Tell me if any of this sounds familiar. Your revenue is going up, which is great, but your actual margins are shrinking. Your best people, your senior staff, the ones you desperately need for high-level advisory work, they're just buried in the day-to-day execution. And you're just stuck in this exhausting, never-ending cycle of hiring, training, and trying to retain talent. And oh yeah, every single tax season feels like it gets longer and more brutal than the last. If you're not in your head right now, trust me, you are not alone.
This constant strain, even when your firm is technically booming, well, it leads us to something called the profitability paradox. And it's that really frustrating reality where all the traditional signs of success, more clients, higher revenue, they don't actually lead to a healthier or more profitable firm. It's a classic story. On paper, everything looks fantastic, right? But the reality is that your operational costs, especially your payroll, are just eating up all those gains. More work just leads to more overtime, more stress, and a huge risk of your absolute best people burning out. And growth that creates that much pain, well, it just stops feeling like a win.
So the big question is, how do you break out of that cycle? The answer isn't just about, pinching pennies and cutting costs. It really requires a fundamental shift in how you think. It's about redesigning your entire workflow, basically from the ground up. And that brings us to the core idea, the single most important takeaway. The true power of doing outsourcing strategically isn't just about saving a few bucks. It is all about gaining leverage. And I'm telling you, understanding this one concept can completely change the entire trajectory of your firm. So what in the world does leverage even mean in this context? Well, to put it simply, it's about breaking that direct link, that one-to-one relationship between your firm's capacity to get work done and the number of people you have on your local payroll. Think about it. Leverage means you can finally say yes to more client work, but without that automatic next step of having to hire another full-time employee. And, maybe just as important, without piling a mountain of new review tasks onto your own plate. It's all about creating capacity on demand. So here's what that actually looks like in the real world. Suddenly, your current team can handle a much bigger workload because they're focused on what they do best: high-value review and client-facing strategy. That mad scramble for seasonal hiring becomes way less critical. You can actually deliver work faster without completely burning out your staff. You're not just reacting to pressure anymore. You're using this new capacity as a genuine strategic advantage.
Okay, so let's say you're sold on the idea of leverage. You get it. But where do you even begin? Well, the key here is to be really intentional about it. You want to focus on the areas that are going to give you the biggest, most immediate impact. Let's just take tax return prep, for instance. It is so incredibly labor-intensive, and it just eats up your senior staff's time. By outsourcing the prep work, your onshore team can focus purely on the review and client strategy. Same thing goes for bookkeeping. All those consistent, time-consuming monthly tasks, they are absolutely perfect for an offshore team to handle. And those messy cleanup projects that always pop up? Outsource them so they don't distract your team from your core, high-value clients. A lot of these forward-thinking firms are essentially building operational extensions of their teams in India, and it's for some really good reasons. You get access to this huge talent pool that's already skilled in U.S. tax and accounting. You get a culture that's built on strong processes and documentation, and, this is a big one, you get the ability to scale your team up or down whenever you need to. That's an absolute game changer for managing seasonality. Okay, so let's talk about the payoff. What does all of this actually mean for you, the partner, at the end of the day? Because beyond the numbers on a spreadsheet, this is about transforming your day-to-day reality. First off, you are going to feel an immediate sense of relief. Seriously, with a more predictable workflow and all this added capacity, the number of those last-minute, hair-on-fire emergencies is just going to drop dramatically. And next, you get control back. Work gets turned around faster, your clients are happier, and you finally get a real handle on those crushing seasonal workloads instead of just letting them run your entire life for a third of the year. And honestly, this might be the most important part of all, the payoff for your entire team. When you reduce that constant pressure on your senior staff, you don't just prevent burnout, you actually unlock their true potential.
They finally have the time and, frankly, the mental space to focus on those high-value advisory services and really help grow the business.
So we'll end with this one question for you to think about. Is your firm built for growth, or is it built for profitable growth? Because leveraging strategic outsourcing isn't just some small operational tweak. It's a fundamental answer to that exact question.